What's going on, everyone? So the Los Angeles Lakers played their first Summer League game in the California Classic. It's not the Las Vegas Summer League where you get the trophy and all that stuff. California Classic is kind of like the little tournament before the big major tournament that everyone goes and plays for. But it'd be nice to get some of these wins in the California Classic, kind of build up and then head into Summer League. But the Lakers took an L in their first Summer League game in the California Classic to the Golden State Warriors, 89-84. Now, we didn't have several of our kind of key guys that we're looking at in this game. We didn't have Bronny James, and right, he's a guy that we really want to see kind of what strides is he taking. Is he just better than everyone out there, or is it clear that it's like, okay, this guy still needs work. This guy might need another year or two to kind of develop, work on his game. You didn't have Eric Dixon, right? And he's probably, potentially the best guy we have in Summer League, right? He's looked at as one of the most NBA-ready guys coming out of the draft. He's a guy that could be on a two-way, maybe even the main roster if the Lakers need to kind of fill a 15th roster spot, be a guy that can maybe play. Kaluma, right? Arthur Kaluma is a guy that hyper-athletic, kind of two-way, like we're looking at as like potentially a Jared Vanderbilt guy. But we did have a couple guys that we were keeping on. Primarily Dalton Knecht. And Dalton Knecht had a rough game, unfortunately. Dalton Knecht did not have the game that we were hoping he would have, really just coming out, hitting strides, and just looking like the player he's clearly better than everybody. He's been working all offseason, and he's ready to kind of just take over and be that guy, right? Like Max Christie, you saw the strides from like year one to year two, right? That's why it was so frustrating that Darvin Ham just didn't play him, because you saw he was just better than everybody in Summer League. Like clearly, like it was very obvious that he was just better than all these guys and that he's clearly an NBA player. Dalton Knecht really had his struggles. Now, again, it's one game. I don't want to overblow it. I don't want to overreact to it. He did do some things nice. He did have, 2 steals, a block. He did have 4 personal fouls. He was 0-6 from 3, 3 of 13 overall, that's kind of what you're looking for. The defense, still yet to be seen. Again, I want to be patient, kind of let him play a couple games before I go like he's just not ready, trade him, whatever, right? Because you got to keep in mind, right? He's 24 years old. So like you don't have the time where like a Bronny who's 21, right? If Dalton Knecht was 21, even if he had a bad Summer League, it's like, hey, he's so young. Let's see what he looks like in a year or two. Right? Like, I mean, you could, if he was 21, you got to think you'd have 3 years of development before he's at the age that he's at now. But he's not. You don't have 3 years for Dalton Knecht to figure it out, right? You have maybe a year or two before you really need to start seeing him hit his stride. And then at that point, he's 25, 26 years old. He's starting to get into his prime where he's supposed to start being the guy that he's going to be moving forward. Some guys are later than others, but still, it's kind of hard to be later when you enter the league later. But look, I like Dalton Knecht, right? But one of the guys that really stood out for the Lakers was Cole Swider. Now, many of you may be familiar with Cole Swider, right? Because the Lakers had Cole Swider on the Summer League rosters in the past. He was a guy that was just really disappointing, right? Because he's a guy that's 6'9". He was essentially Dalton Knecht before Dalton Knecht. Lights out 3-point shooter, right? A guy that is, 6'9", 6'8", 6'9" in size, can basically slot in at either forward spot. But it was kind of a lot of the same things, right? His lack of defense, his inconsistencies at times, and then he ended up going to the Miami Heat, which was, some people I saw were a little surprised that he was on the Lakers Summer League because you think he'd kind of stick around with Miami. But, Cole Swider's a guy that, you saw the seasoning. Right? You saw a guy that has been in the league a couple years now, has had the opportunity to kind of develop and grow a little bit, but he's 26 years old, right? So it's kind of like with him, it's kind of now or never. Again, he was Dalton Knecht pre-Dalton Knecht. He was like what we're expecting Dalton Knecht to be. A lot of the same conversations were being had about Cole Swider, right? And to kind of go over what he did, we'll go over his Summer League stats, but I kind of want to go over what he did because he was with Miami and then he went to Toronto and played a couple games Toronto and Detroit. So he's kind of hopped around a little bit. But his kind of best stint was actually with Toronto. 8 games played, 19.5 minutes per game, 7.3 field goal attempts per game, Shot 36% from three-point range on 5.3 attempts, 37.9% overall. He took 2 attempts from two-point range, primarily catch-and-shoot three-point shooter, 43.8%, 51% EFG. He averaged 3.1 rebounds, half an assist, half a steal, half a block, and 7.4 points in that time. Now, this is the best stint that he had with Miami was 2.3 points, but that was, he only got 2 field goal attempts per game and only averaged 5 minutes per game. So the Toronto stint was the one where he actually got real run, real opportunity, real minutes, and again, he gave you, some production, right, for a guy that was coming off the bench for a small sample size of 8 games. Right, like he's a guy that gave you 8 and 3. Now, I believe Dalton Knecht is better than Cole Swider. Even now, I think Dalton Knecht is better than Cole Swider. But a lot of the stuff that Dalton Knecht would be for this Lakers team, right? My concern with Dalton Knecht is I don't know if he's ever going to get the proper opportunities to display all of his game, right? Like he's a guy that, as long as best case scenario, he's probably the 4th, 5th guy on the Lakers, right? Even in a post-LeBron era. And with Luka on the team and Austin Reeves, assuming that they keep Austin Reeves, right? He's probably never going to get the opportunities to be more than kind of a catch-and-shoot three-point guy. Maybe he's a guy that can come off the bench and kind of be your 6th man, right? And I do believe he's more than a catch-and-shoot three-point shooter, right? But I talked about this before, is that, unless he really shows significant strides this season, again, it's one game. I don't want to be too critical, but unless he starts to show real significant strides, the Lakers are going to trade him. I mean, the Lakers already traded him once, and he entered the league like gangbusters, kicking the door in, right? Like just lighting teams up, looked every bit the part. But you saw the inconsistencies offensively, which he's a rookie. It's going to happen. And then defensively, he was our worst defensive player by like every metric. So unless he, my hope is that this summer league, he shows he's just better than everybody, right? Or at least one of the guys that are better than everybody. And, he doesn't belong in summer league. He's a guy that should be in the rotation on the main roster, right? You saw that with Max Christie, right? You saw that with some of these guys. And again, it's one game, but it didn't, like even the other areas, I was a little disappointed in. And so, but you look at a guy like Cole Swider, right? And he's a guy that I think if you were to trade Dalton Knecht, Cole Swider, I think, is a guy that could come in and play the role that Dalton Knecht would play. I think Cole Swider is a guy that could come in and, hit the open 3, rebound the basketball, and just kind of do some things out there for the Lakers that you'd be looking for Dalton Knecht to do. Again, that doesn't mean that Cole Swider is necessarily better or anything, but I think the role in which the Lakers are looking for somebody to play like a Dalton Knecht, just catch and shoot, can get hot any night and rattle off 5 or 6 threes and, hopefully stay in front of the guy and then rebound the basketball and do other things out there besides just shooting the basketball. I think Cole Swider can do that. Now, you look at Swider going over his debut, right? 7 of 10 from the floor, 70%, 75% from 3, 6 of 8 from 3-point range, 4 of 4 from the free throw line, grabbed 8 rebounds, a steal, had 1 turnover and 24 points. He was a +4. He was our highest plus minus, and now, again, one game, but Cole Swider looked the part. You know what I mean? Like, Cole Swider looked what I wanted Dalton Knecht to look like. Remove the shooting. Cole Swider just looked confident. Right? He had that swagger in him. He looked like a guy that's like, look, I'm better than all these guys. Right? And that's really what I wanted to see with Dalton Knecht. I just felt like Dalton Knecht, for a guy that was working so hard this offseason, again, it's a little underwhelming, a little disappointing. And, I don't want to be overly critical. I don't want to be too much, but, the reality is the reality, right? Like, if Cole Swider continues, let's say Dalton Knecht does actually turn around and continues to look good, but you don't see that improvement because he looked good last summer league, right? If he kind of just looks like what he was last year and Cole Swider continues to play well, I think you can maybe make that transition if need be. If that's something that the Lakers are looking for. Right? It's just, again, I don't know, like, and I've talked about this before. The best thing for Dalton Knecht might be a trade, right? I wanted Cam Whitmore. Cam Whitmore would have been great. I'm very disappointed he got sent to Wizards. But if I'm being honest and I remove my Laker bias for a moment, Washington might be the best place for Cam Whitmore because he's going to be able to just go hoop, right? Like, let's see what you got. And he's going to get the opportunity to get the minutes, to play the role, to play the part, take the shots, do everything, because the Wizards are a team that's, kind of rebuilding and retooling and trying to structure for the future. So, Dalton Knecht might be in his best interest to go to a team like that, a young team where he can kind of come in, slot in, play the role, get the reps, get the opportunity. And, it would suck us as Laker fans to look back and go, man, like, look how good Dalton Knecht is. But he might never reach that with the Lakers. He just might not. And if you just need a catch and shoot 3-point shooter that has size, length, can rebound the basketball, do you think Cole Swider might be able to just fill in that role? But let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos. Truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.